slightly higher amounts. But then look to the south and also to the east of the city. Check this out, down 75 south into parts of Henry County, just north of the McDonough area, not too far off from Stockbridge. Some reports are actually, our Doppler radar estimating about 3 inches of rain fell in a little section right there. And then the purple color shows 2-inch rain totals, possibly in parts of southern areas of Rockdale County, also over into parts of Newton County here along I-20, getting closer to Morgan County near the Madison area. Toward Monroe, around 2 inches possible, again, as estimated by our Doppler radar. And there's a spot where you see the red there at areas of northern Walton County into parts of Barrow County as well, about more than 3 inches of rain, and then 2.5 to 3 in some other spots here over into parts of Oconee County. So some areas did pick up a lot of rain while others picked up hardly anything at all. That just shows the nature of the differences in those light rain showers, as well as the areas overnight that got some good clusters of more of the heavy rain that was moving on through. So as we've been going through the late afternoon and evening, we haven't really had an impressive coverage of rain, and even the showers that have been out there have generally been on the lighter end. I want to take you down here though to the south. We do have this that we're watching there just south of Columbus near Casita, where we have a little thunder and lightning there. Again, this is south of Columbus. Here's LaGrange up here. All right, LaGrange is at the top of your screen. So this is well to the south of LaGrange. But I'm going to keep an eye on this because this is kind of showing us as that moves up into Talbot County. It might get a little bit closer to areas up to the north into Pike Lamar County, Upson County a little bit later on. But that's just one of the heavier showers that is out there. And we'll keep an eye on that because we could still see some more moderate to heavy showers just kind of streaming our way during the overnight hours here, but we don't think that they would be widespread at all. Again, around the metro area, just a few of those lighter showers have been moving through, a few raindrops at Truist Park. They haven't had enough rain there to delay the game or anything going on tonight. A few other showers here between Chamblee and Dorville right there on the northeast side of the perimeter. Nothing really impressive with that. Here's what I'm watching. This is Lake Lanier right here between Forsyth County and Hall County. We do have some lighter showers over Forsyth into Forsyth County, Hall County, northern parts of Gwinnett County. But again, nothing really major, adding a lot of rain to the rain gauge. And then also on the south side, just a few spotty showers from LaGrange. There's that one that we're watching, a little bit of light rain into Thomaston. Those heavier showers and storms a little bit more to the south. But again, keeping an eye on those as they move up toward the north and also to the east. And then, as you see, not a lot in north and northwest Georgia. So it's interesting that we still have the flood watch that is in effect, and that's just because the ground is saturated and any additional rain that comes in can add to the runoff that flows into those low-lying or flood-prone areas. So we're not expecting any widespread flooding or anything like that. Better chance for showers, though, as we had storms earlier down in parts of southeast Georgia, a lot of those moving up off the coast of South Carolina. Now, what you can't see is a system way out here in the Atlantic that has a potential to develop into a tropical system. I'm going to break that down for you coming up in just a little bit here in this extended weather outlook. Here is a look at that flood watch. Now, the National Weather Service canceled it for much of north and west Georgia earlier today. But remember, see what I was telling you, roughly along the I-85 corridor, we didn't have much rain in this area, but there was more rain over to the east. Well, that corresponds with where we still have a flood watch in effect until 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, we don't expect, I'm not really impressed with this flood watch. I think it's just kind of more just to let people know, hey, any additional showers here could give us some isolated spots with some flooding, but we don't think it's going to be widespread. Remember, a flood watch means that flooding conditions are possible, not that they're imminent, all right? So we're going to keep an eye on that with any additional showers moving in that could still cause some isolated flooding in spots. So this is going to be in effect until 8 o'clock on Wednesday. We did not extend our weather impact alert into Wednesday just because we think the flood risk is going to be on the low end, and even the rain risk is going to be coming down as well during the day. Here is a live look. Speaking of that rain, you can see those areas there over Atlanta. This is our tower cam at Georgia Tech, looking toward the downtown area, and you see how the light is kind of diffused there from the raindrops that are on the lens of that. And that just kind of shows some of that lighter rain that moved through Atlanta just a little while ago. It's not actively raining hard or anything over the city. We just still have those raindrops on the lens. And then here's a live look right now at Truist Park. Not a lot of people in the stands. I don't know if the weather scared them away or the Braves record scared them away, but there have been a few raindrops there, but they're still playing right now. I don't know the score, I would tell you, but I don't know what it is right now, so hopefully the Braves are winning. But still, not a bad night there. Temperatures have been comfortable, generally in the 70s and then falling into the 60s. In fact, our high today made it up to 73 degrees. Our low this morning was 66, so not a big range, but that temperature of 73 is up a little bit higher than what we had yesterday when we got up to only 69 degrees here for a high temperature yesterday afternoon. And we should be around 90 for this time of year. So we're still way below the average. Tomorrow, we're going to warm up even more, getting up to 80. So that sounds warm, right? Well, it's warmer, but still 10 degrees below the average, even with those temperatures getting up to 80 degrees. We picked up only 0.08 of an inch of rain out there for today. So our rainfall surplus is, I'm sorry, I'm kind of off the screen here. Our rainfall surplus is about a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch below where we should be in rainfall, actually above where we should be in rainfall for the year. So we have just a little bit of a surplus there. Here's a look at the temperatures though. They've been interesting to watch. You know, we haven't had big ranges in those temperatures. We were in the 60s through the overnight hours. There's that low at 4 a.m. of 66. We held in the 60s till about noon. And then we got up to 70, which is warmer than we were yesterday. We held in the 70s here. We've been in the 70s ever since then, topping off there at 73 degrees during the afternoon hours, right between 4 and 5 o'clock today when we had that high temperature. Right now, we are still holding in the 70s, but barely 70 degrees in town, also in Peachtree City. Covington, Thomaston is at 72. We have 73 in Rome and Dalton. Elsewhere, temperatures are in the 60s here at this hour. 68 in Lawrenceville, 69 over in the Athens area. And Wednesday, we do expect it to warm up a little bit more. And we're going to have a pretty good coverage of clouds early in the morning and just the chance for a few little raindrops here and there. Once we get into the afternoon hours, possibility, nothing really widespread, but about a 30% chance for some scattered showers, maybe a thunder shower kind of rumbling with that. But there's that high getting up to 80 degrees. We may even see some sunshine breaking through in the afternoon hours. And that'll be a big determining factor on just how high those temperatures are able to go. With a little more sunshine, we might even get up to 81, 82 degrees. We'll see about that. So here's what we're watching on the forecast track. There's that light rain that we're talking about on the north side going to the north and east. And watch how that moves this direction. And then, did you see that overnight? As we see a few of those showers on the south side move through the metro area, pushing up toward the north. This is at 7:30. You're seeing a little bit of yellow and orange there, indicating the potential for nothing widespread, but maybe a few pockets in there with some moderate rain, where some areas may pick up a little bit more rain than others. Going to lunchtime, still a good bit of cloud cover around, few raindrops here and there possible, but this is what I'm talking about in the afternoon. We might have some spots there with a couple of isolated showers, but also clouds trying to break up in areas to allow a little bit of sunshine to come through, and then that'll be with us during the evening hours. And then Thursday morning, starting off with clouds, we still have that easterly flow, but the strongest part of that wedge that was driving in that cooler air and more moist air is breaking up. So that's why we think on Thursday, we're going to go with just a 20% chance for a shower here for your Thursday and a little more sunshine. And each and every day, those temperatures are going to warm up just a little bit more. This gets us into Friday, where again, we have that easterly flow, just a few clouds mixing in with the sunshine, but relatively low rain chances, about 30% chance for a shower coming back here on your Friday. So this is how the rain chances look: 30% Wednesday, 20% Thursday. We're going to hold with that 30% chance for a shower Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this really gets us back into that more summertime pattern of a chance for just some afternoon pop-ups to develop. But really, I'm not overly impressed by the rain chances. There'll be some moisture around. Temperatures are going to be slowly moving up a little bit more, but the rain totals are going to be on the lower end. So this is really taking us through Wednesday, where in Atlanta we could pick up maybe a ½ inch of rain before it's all said and done. Now this in Duluth is showing 1.1 inches because the model was showing a heavier shower sitting on top of the Duluth area and parts of Gwinnett County. Whether or not that lines up exactly on them or not, we'll see. But that just goes to show that there could be some spots that pick up a little bit more and a lot of spots that pick up a little bit less. And what I want you to see here, going through Thursday and also into Friday, these numbers don't change that much. We're not going to see much rain coming in on Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday. But what I want you to notice is to the south and east. I want you to watch the blues and the purples as they start to increase and move a little bit closer to us, getting into Monday and also into next Tuesday. That's because there will be some tropical moisture, we think, moving into the Georgia coast and the South Carolina coast. I don't think it's going to be a big impact on us here, but we just see some of those numbers that, depending on the track of that system and how it strengthens, it may send some moisture our way for the beginning of the week. On Monday and Tuesday, we're increasing our rain chances a little bit, up to about 40%. But it looks like that heaviest rain would be to the south and east of us. Look at those reds there, indicating where there could be some spots between 2 and 4 inches of rain, getting closer to the Georgia coast and also there onto the South Carolina coast. So this is why we're watching that very closely, because there's a system that could develop there off the Georgia and South Carolina coast. Right now it's several hundred miles off the southeastern coastline, but the Hurricane Center giving us a 10% chance of developing into a depression or a storm, tropical storm, over the next 2 days, 40% chance over the next 7 days. The models are showing this just kind of hanging out here off the southeast coast, and then maybe moving westward a little bit and then pushing up toward the north, most likely impacting the North Carolina coastline. But again, that center of circulation, the center of the low hasn't even really developed yet. So that's why it's the placement of it and forecasting it is difficult until it develops. There's Tropical Storm Dexter. It's not going to impact anybody. It's going to remain a fish storm out into the Atlantic, not really bothering anybody. There's another one in the eastern Atlantic that we're watching, that the Hurricane Center is showing that once this moves into this area that you see in orange, that area is a little more conducive for development or strengthening there to become a tropical depression or a tropical storm. They're giving it a 50% chance of developing over the next 7 days. We'll have to watch this because it would move west and then northwest. Some models are showing it curving away. Some models are showing it getting closer to the Atlantic coastline, but that would be days and days out. So, of course, we'll just keep a close eye on that. This is Dexter. What's interesting with this is that it's still showing it maintaining 40 to 45 mile an hour wind speeds as a tropical storm. Then it becomes an area of low pressure, but it would be a subtropical system, and it could even strengthen as it's not even classified as a tropical storm anymore. It could get up to 60 miles an hour. But the important thing is it is moving away and it won't have any impact on the United States or really any land masses either. So 80 degrees for a high tomorrow. We start warming up a little bit, but still that's about 10 degrees below the average. A 30% chance for some showers. 20% chance Thursday. Relatively low in rain chances Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 30%. But look at the temperatures rising. We're getting up to the mid 80s Friday and Saturday, upper 80s on Sunday, more upper 80s on Monday and Tuesday, and that's when we're seeing the rain chances coming back up to about 40%, but a lot of that is going to depend on any development there off the Georgia and South Carolina coast. Thanks for tuning in to this extended weather update here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. We'll have more updates for you throughout the day here on your Wednesday, and of course looking at radar, weather maps, temperature maps at any time of the day on Weather Impact 24/7. Thanks for watching.